presented by Private Internet Access.
Hey again, guys, sitting a little bit more comfortably on the couch this time and got two of my colleagues here, Arne, who's kick-ass on Android development, and Christel, who's Private Internet Access is director of sponsorships. And yeah, guys, I just saw something really interesting on our Bitcoin, the community for the Blockstream fork of Bitcoin, where somebody suggested that the Bitcoin white paper should be in the sidebar, linked in the sidebar of the /r/Bitcoin subreddit. And the chief moderator immediately lashed out against that, saying that the Bitcoin white paper is a really poor description of what Bitcoin is, and was downvoted into oblivion. As in, how do you read this as a sign of the times? I think it's really interesting.
Was he suggesting that is a bad description on a technical or more on a political standpoint?
Both, as I see it. As in, he was going on this rant about how this is not really a good description of what Bitcoin is, how it works technically, or how it's evolved to be, and basically try to discredit it from every angle at the same time.
You're talking about the original from...
Yeah, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
So is that saying then that the general consensus is that the white paper is no longer relevant? And does this explain why it's now forked into two? There's two branches because it's no longer the product it once was?
Well, you know, at the same time, Temos was downloaded into oblivion in his own subreddit. As in, it wasn't just a controversial statement, the way I see it. As in, it was one of the most heavily downvoted comments I've seen on that subreddit. And this is the moderator that said that if 90% of people disagree with this direction of Bitcoin, then I want those 90% out of this subreddit. Which is also sort of why Bitcoin forked into two. BTC, the legacy Blockstream fork of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see his argument that if is this Reddit is for this particular Bitcoin, and if you want to go to another Bitcoin, also go to another subreddit.
Fair enough.
I can understand that. If you're out topic, please go away.
Well, the white paper clearly says that it's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, and if you disagree that it's a payment system in the first place, since the Blockstream fork of Bitcoin is now completely unusable for payments, then I guess the white paper is outdated for that particular fork. There would be a point to it. Still, people kind of hated him for saying it. But I think they were not hating him for saying it as much as hating him for saying that the Blockstream fork of Bitcoin is unusable and defending that it is unusable.
I think you get so Bitcoin, as many other open source projects, you're always going to have the purist, right? The person who's not going to deviate, who's not going to evolve, who's not going to, and I think that's quite common. So I think
basically the visionaries of the project, in a way.
Yeah, and I think also sometimes when you buy into something, I mean, I spent so many years being a purist in terms of things like I would only use console. If I went to a website, I would go to it, in links. It's
in links even. You wouldn't use wget and read it in Emacs then.
Now I curl everything. No, but yeah, sort of. It took me a very long time to sort of move beyond text. It took me a very long time to realize that was actually useful.
But this isn't necessarily against evolving versus not evolving. It's completely different directions of evolving. They both want to evolve, but in their own way, the folks.
Yeah. And that's fine. Isn't that the beauty of open source?
You could successfully argue that. Then again, you're seeing there's... You have a point. Maybe there's not so much anger with two forks existing in parallel as both forks essentially accusing each other of hijacking their brand.
Right, and then you get down to the problem on an interpersonal level rather than a technical level, right?
Right, which is when you have these insights from resilience expert Vinay Gupta from years ago that Bitcoin is extremely resilient as a technical level, but from a social level, it is just as vulnerable to anything as any other project. Yeah. And don't make the mistake of mistaking technical resilience for social resilience, because it's not.
No. And it's and obviously that's what we're seeing. We're seeing fights. Mm-hmm. We're seeing people being unhappy with other people. We're seeing anger. We're seeing fear. We're seeing people feeling under threat.
Yeah, you can really feel people acting as though they feel cornered, can't you?
But, yeah, you can get that because, I mean, most open source project, the people who started that, and so they're still kind of in control. And even if some big company goes and forks their project, they're still in control. Mm. But with Bitcoin, now that all the big companies and big miners have their stake in it, and even because of this technical resilience, now it's not like the developer can say, no, we don't want you to do that, because that's built into the protocol. So I think they are kind of losing control both in socially and also they long lost control about the mining power. Mm. So yeah, Bitcoin would live on without them.
So, well, cryptocurrency as a whole would. But is this then, as you describe, a fear of irrelevance, perhaps, in the evolution process? The fear of a parent seeing the baby grow up and moving out?
Maybe feeling a bit powerless. Mm. That you're basically people also expecting you to be the one in power, because that's how you see yourself. But you deep down, I think, in your heart, you know that others you might not even really know, or on a personal level, and for some of these companies doing the Bitcoins, you are not really sure is really behind that, so you lost power to them.
But let's throw in some napalm in this discussion. I mean, the Blockstream fork of Bitcoin is really unusable. As in, when people sort of stopped using it as a payment system and started using it as a store of value. And all of a sudden, people are realizing that the cost of moving money is gradually exceeding the money stored in UTXO, as in these wallets. So you can't even move money without losing money, which means it's worthless as a store of value as well. So isn't a lot of this frustration that we're seeing in the legacy camp of Bitcoin, the Blockstream fork of Bitcoin, just saying that they were promised the world if only SegWit happened, if only SegWit 2x did not happen. They were promised so much, and now they're getting something that was way worse than had ever existed before. And there's nowhere to go from here except for pie in the sky promises of the next big thing, which is Lightning Network, which was promised in 2015 and still hasn't happened. Mm. So I'm seeing they're just seeing fees rising with no end in sight. They're seeing the network becoming increasingly unusable. Merchant adoption is actually negative. And so anything that even seems to solve the problem in a different way becomes an instant existential threat. And that's the reactions I'm seeing.
And I guess.
As an existential threat, now that basically the traditional financial people moved in and started speculating with all their, let's say, professional background, it's also a threat for a lot of traders, because it's not the kick plate, but now comes the real guys.
Mm. Sort of, yeah, as in move out, here's the real millions in trading. But that's speculation.
Yeah, but still that feels also like the old, I think it's more not in a, more also like in a feeling way, because before it was like we were on community and some of our community, but now it's and we all were against the old established financial world, and now
and Wall Street is moving in.
And now the financial world said, Bitcoin is a nice thing. Yeah, we don't care about all the nice things you think Bitcoin is and Bitcoin wants. It's like we see that just as a speculation object, and we do what we do with the speculation of that, and we just accept it as is. We are not picking the fight you want us to pick. We're just using it. So it feels like being accepted, but not in the way they want it, because it's not accepted as a cryptocurrency, but just as a speculation object. And if they keep doing that way, I think some believe it's going to become a real currency is even harder now.
Well, it's not usable as a currency, as in a currency is something where I can pick up a penny and hand it over to somebody. I can't do that with Bitcoin, not anymore. Or rather, that's correction. I can't do that with a Blockstream fork of Bitcoin. I can do it with Bitcoin BCH. But what you're saying is arguably true, but how is that sustainable? As in, if you're having an instrument of speculation, any price is set by supply and demand. Where's the demand for something that people are buying just in the anticipation that its price will go up? That demand has to come to a point at some point, at which point where... What happens then?
Yeah, but can't you make that statement about all cryptocurrencies?
No, not really. Because if you're looking at cryptocurrencies in the sense of the word of a currency, then you have a demand stemming from utility. If you're, for example, looking at the dark markets where people use Monero and Zcash, then people want to get more Monero and Zcash in order to use it on the dark markets. So there is a primary demand for utility of the currency that drives the supply-demand equilibrium, rather than just having a demand for something in hope that its price will go up.
Basically, what you're saying is that was Bitcoin one day, but now it got replaced in that sense by better currencies on the crypto market?
Well, I have a feeling that there is a place for at least two cryptocurrencies on the market. One general use, which is very easy to use but may have reduced privacy features, and one which is significantly harder to use but which has near perfect privacy issues. Yeah. At least those two. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. I think there's definitely room for two. But at the moment, I mean, the market is saturated with altcoins. I mean, there are...
Yeah, tens of thousands.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I sit and laugh and think, what would I call my coin? Oh no, that already exists.
Yeah. It's kind of like we're approaching the point where the number of altcoins is exceeding the number of cryptocurrency users.
Yeah. And that obviously complicates the whole getting into... becoming familiar with and learning about and working out what you use, what you pick, what you choose. I mean, when I first heard about Bitcoin, before Bitcoin was a public thing, through Freenode, obviously, because they were open source developers, I thought this is a really cute and novel project that's never going to take off.
And you were in good company.
And wow, look what's happened. So my actual first coin that I had was Dogecoin of all things. And that was only because someone sent me some via some random tip bot, you know. Yeah. And then it was just like, well, I guess I'll accept this and make a wallet.
But Dogecoin is like IRC. Like even when everything else has died out, there'll still be IRC and Dogecoin. Yeah. It's going to be there forever. This little weird thing that no one understands. But
but it's there's so many. It's sort of, I get people asking me, so how do you should I invest in cryptocurrency? And I'm not a financial investor. I mean, I said that was never going to take off, so don't ask me for advice. And if I give you any, do the opposite.
If they ask me, is that would you invest in stocks? And if they say maybe, then they are more volatile. I am really, really willing to risk that and think about it, and then pick your choice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's with the current state of cryptocurrencies. I mean, hopefully for at least for the cryptocurrency, if the dream come true, we have to need coins that are more stable, so that are not like at the moment. If I buy now, let's say, a Bitcoin and wait 3 months, it could be worth 3 times it. It could worth a quarter of that.
Yeah, that's Bitcoin volatility for you.
I mean, you can't at the moment. You can't draft a contract in in a cryptocurrency, because you can't set the amount not in currency, but you would like, it's paid in Bitcoin, but with the equivalent value of euros at the point of
you're denominating it in something else.
So and since you're still, if you're doing all this Bitcoin transaction or other currencies, you're still at the moment picking a fiat value for your transaction instead of a cryptocurrency transaction, because it's too volatile.
But that was also one of the key elements in Satoshi's experiment. I mean, he actually worded it like this, that the fiat currencies tend to be constant in value but vary in supply. And part of the Bitcoin experiment was to vary the value and keep the supply fixed.
Yes.
So if we're sort of drawing this discussion to a close, looking at the forks, at least the two dominant forks of Bitcoin at this time, how will the next couple of months play out? What's our predictions?
I mean,
I think that Bitcoin Cash is obviously going to attract a lot more use now.
I believe
because
so too.
The transaction fees for Bitcoin Legacy is...
Well, you can't use the other fork, so it's kind of a dead giveaway.
It's too high now, and people are interested, people are curious, people like things that evolve. This is slightly different.
Sure.
It's based on something that's been proven to work. And, it's spearheaded by people who's got quite a lot of influence in the space and quite a lot of respect. And by all means, quite a lot of disrespect from other players in the sphere. But, there's interest and people are curious, and, it's already gone up, it's already moving. So people are going to want to come in now before it becomes impossible to get in on the game. And,
You think Bitcoin BCH is going to overtake the Blockstream fork of Bitcoin, BTC?
Unless they can solve the problems that are there currently,
Okay. Arne?
I'm not sure. I mean, technically they're still kind of similar, and I expect them maybe to close the gap, but I still expect them to move, like, if one goes up, the other also goes up, and not on the short term, but also on the long term.
In terms of price, they are tracking each other, but that's true for all crypto, isn't it?
Yeah, but
the Blockstream fork is still the general entry point to a crypto. So it's default trade currency like the US dollar, if you like.
Yeah.
But I mean, it probably gets more... yes, it has a larger block size, but if a lot of people are moving to Bitcoin Cash, I think also transaction fee will rise there.
We'll see. There's a lot of pressure to keep it sub-cent.
That's true, but maybe, you need a lot of transaction to get that larger, because they have a lot larger block size
Fair enough. We'll see. So we can't predict the future, but...
We can't, but then of course when I say something isn't going to work out, it doesn't. So maybe when I say something is going to happen, it won't. Who knows?
Fair enough. And I'm usually lousy at the short term, but I tend to be fairly good at the long term. So, I guess we'll just wait and see.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.